Hey, top of the morning to you. I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for being on Roodoodles Live. It's Saturday morning. It is, if I'm not mistaken, oh, is it April 30th? So tomorrow will be the 1st, so I'll have to, let me make a note. Make a note. Give away today. Somebody don't let me forget. I'm going to give something away. And yes, I know that sometimes they don't get there. I mail them, but also sometimes I am tardy. So, but I will get something in the mail to you. And I'm still working on the pens. I bought some new labels this week. Got some of those printed, so I'm trying to get those out. Thought I was going to be here all week, but had a bunch of crazy stuff to do. I'm excited you're on the show. I feel like all my font has changed on my show, so I'm looking at this. And it's like, it looks so professional. I didn't do that, I'll tell you that. I hope you're well today. It's Saturday morning, and I'm going to say hello to a few of you here in just a second, and then I'm going to take you on a little journey. And I found a couple things, digging up stuff this week. I've been working on a couple different video projects, so that puts me in a cave. No, not a cave, a mine. And so, not the never you mine, okay? But it puts me in a mine. And can you tell it's still... my nose has been stopped up. This could be the new sounding me. I just sound like I'm always wanting to say my nose is stopped up, but it's all allergies. I've been putting eye drops in, and so I'll be glad when we make it through this time. Some of you will too, I'm sure. Anyway, I'm glad you're on the show today. Throw a little music in here just to have it in the background, and let me say hello to some of you. Linda Schleitning, thanks for being on the show. Karen Bender, Alice Durham, Skeeter Powell. That's for you. Skeeter, I think I closed this loop, but I'm going to close it one more time for you because I took out of the file the old application that I did for a work crew at a Young Life property in 1972. You had attached a little note to it there, and I was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I was selected out of Knoxville to go and be in June at this camp called Windy Gap. It's in the western mountains of North Carolina. And so that was in 1972, okay? So 50 years later, that would be 2022, my granddaughter is going to that camp same month. June. She's going to show up there about a week apart from when I showed up there at the very first time as work crew. Amazing world that just kind of came together in circle for me. Really a circular package. And you know I love storytelling, and I love it when the dots connect, so that's an amazing one right there. So you were a part of that story, my dear friend. Man, I've known you a long time. Emily Bowen, Kathy Morrow, Barbara Meyer, almost said Deborah Meyer, Steve and Dockery. Saw Steven yesterday. He was like the Roadrunner. He flashed through and flashed out. Paula Lindy, thank you for being on the show. Jacqueline Goodrich, Michelle, I saw the birthday gift. Rockstar, okay. Donna Buckley, Laura Abbott, not my gift for my dear sweet wife. Good morning, Saturday from sunny and rainy. It's currently doing both. Laura Abbott, love it, love it, love it. May see a rainbow then. Sue Kane, I know I made a comment on your site, as I make comments from time to time on people's sites, but your art is rocking. That's just a good way to say it. You have such a nice touch for flowers, and your pen and your colors are just They're just really good. Marie Piker, thanks for being on the show. Pat Brooks from rainy South Florida. I think it's supposed to rain here all day tomorrow. Pat Brooks. And someday in the near future, I hope Carol and I meet Peter and Pat and just get to sit down and give them a serious hug for how the support they've been for this show and also just for her work in Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. And I'm going to show you where that kind of came from, okay? This is going to be a flow back that's going to tie in, circular storytelling. It's going to tie in to all the things that you do now and all the things that you're working on and all the things that you reach back and get a hold of are going to come together in how your art moves forward. I promise you, okay? Jimmy Jensen, thanks for being on the show. Heather Chapman-Kuhlman. A lot of rain out there. Deborah Spangler, thank you. Deborah, an envelope showed up here and made us both smile and laugh. Gene Anthalzer, Jennifer Yentz, Jason Nicholas, thanks for being on the show, my friend. John Robert Small, look at that. Pigment Pals. That's a good line right there, dude. I haven't seen it before. John Robert Small has been doing some very fun serving stuff in the community that he lives in. And John Robert, I just did a piece Thursday night. I don't have it edited yet, so I'll show you in the future, but I'm going to tell you about it. And I need to make a note about that too. I should have made some show notes, huh? But I'm going to write down the name Eva. So if somebody lets me forget there we go. Oh, you can't see what I just wrote down. Let me go to a picture and you can see what I'm doing down here. I just wrote down Eva, T-G-N-C-L-T. Okay, so that'll remind me. Love it, love it, love it. So Jason, thanks for being on the show today. And Jason, we need to talk this next week about your ending year thing, okay? So the show gets personal. Some of you guys have become really good friends. Yeah, let's see. COVID is not much fun there. Yeah, I'm so sorry that people are still wandering through that. And, it's just something that is going to be, it is our new normal. So we have to work through what it is. Renee Keese, love your paintings always. Denise Albright. Denise gets getting bombarded by these little notes that say there's a book, there's a book, there's a book, there's a book. Yeah, just start to get them out there somewhere. Books are hard, but you know that. And so, but your dogs have got a story to tell. One of my favorite children's books of all time, by the way, one of them, there's a list of bunch, not as good as this book, of course, which is my favorite of all time. How Tom Beat Captain Najork in The Hired Sportsman. Quentin Blake illustrated it. Oh my gosh. And Russell Hoban. And I think this book probably had something to do with my watercolor, and I didn't even know it at the time. I was reading this to my boys. Look at this. This address I had in 1978, 1981, but I was reading this book several years before that. It was written in 1974, and some friends brought it to me probably in along about that time, 75, 76. So there it is. How Tom Beat Captain Najork in The Hired Sportsman, if you can find it. And you have grandkids that like to fiddle around. Oh my gosh, fiddling around is in there too. So Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle has been in my life for a long time. All right. Love saying hi. Lisa Bryant, thank you. Catherine Brousseau, Beverly Schmidt from Greenville. Jamie Zeigler. My friend told me about you. Hey, Jamie, tell your friend I said thank you. And you're on the show today that I'm going to paint something, and I'm not going to paint a rooster today. And I'll tell you why. Carol and I went out to dinner last night. Just this little place we go down the street here, not far. It's called Pearls. That's with a Z on the end. It really makes it tough on me because I'm trying to learn how to spell. So when you end words with made up consonants, it just doesn't work well. But it's Pearls, and you think, oh, they must serve oysters, and they do. It's an oyster house. But I go there to have their fried shrimp, and in Charlotte, they are as good as I can find anywhere, unless I'm at the coast or if I'm in Florida, out on where they come off the boat. I'm pretty sure these are shipped in. They're probably Argentina shrimp, but they're battered and fried beautifully. And I always say, do the old man a favor and pull them just before you think they're done so that they're golden brown. But they had a piece of cheesecake. But as I came in, Carol was sitting outside. I didn't put her out. I let her get out at the door, and I went and parked the car. and walked back up. And so when I sat down, she said, hey, they all want to say hi. I said, who's they? She said, well, the guys there at the desk where we sign in. She said, did you see your painting? And I said, what? She said, no, your painting is at the desk. They have it on the desk. And I go, what are you talking about? And so as I left last night, I looked, because I paint them something every time I go there, a little painting. Last night I did a lobster because my nose is stopped up. And I put the caption on it that said, bisque by that much. That's what I put on there. Bisque by that much. And I told Brianna, who's our waitress outside, you have to say it like this. You can't say missed by that much. You have to say bisque by that much. And so there's a little lobster card. But when I went out, there was a shrimp. So it made me want to paint a shrimp again. So I came home, I did a little digging, and I found 2 for you to look at. So here we go. And I'll tell you more of that story. But this is what got me into the shrimp. And I'm going to give one of these away today. So if you're on the show, new for the first time, Jamie, you might have an option. Wouldn't that be fun? Lisa Bright, Michelle Ridd, blacksmithing at its finest. I don't know what you're talking about, but do you use a neti pot? No, I don't, because I can't stand. I feel like I'm going to drown. And so watching Rhonda Rawson says, watching from Spokane, Washington. That is a mouthful right there. That should be a tongue twister. Rhonda Rawson's watching from Washington. Well, why? But thank you for being on the show. Sharon Fritz, Norman Moibus, thank you. You say tomato, John Robert Small says. Lammy Lammy, yeah, you're the pin dude. Chris Whitaker, thanks for being on the show. Circle of Life, Jason says, yeah, for camp. All right, so here we go. Nancy Catlett, Phil Wilbarger, good morning. Phil, is always going to have to say, I'll catch it later. Man, this is one busy dude, but your art is shining. And thank you for the post. I saw the Roodoodles on the wall. All right, so here we go. Mike Paramore's on the show this morning. Must be raining where you are. No beekeeper work today, my friend. All right, here we go. Painted a couple honeybees this week. So here's this shrimp I'm getting ready to show you was painted in 2008. So there it is. There's not a whole lot of holidays. I wasn't learning how to be loose then, but I was trying to get colors to flow. This is one of the shrimp. I painted one the year before when I tell the story about Carol said, hey, you know what? That's a good shrimp, but you would do better if you painted roosters because it's our namesake. But you can see his legs are a little short. I was trying to figure out how to do legs. I was trying to figure out the tentacles, the tail. Looks a bit like a sea cow here. But one day I just didn't want to paint a rooster is what I wrote on there. So this was after I'd already started painting roosters. This was 08. 07 is when I painted the first shrimp when we were in St. Augustine. And he was actually going that way. But I wanted to show you this because I keep up with this. And this is why I ask you to put a date. And look, I wasn't signing at Roodoodles. I was putting Roodoodles.com. No, I think I put that on there later because I had this at a show somewhere. But I was signing at Michael Hahn, which is legitimate. It's my name, but I just signed it now with an M and Roodoodles. So there's 08 and a little pencil down there. But I wanted to show you how you can knock one of these out real fast. Just right here this morning. And I'm going to do 2 things, a scrap piece of paper and then a regular just piece. And I'm going to rip this off. Go ahead if I can rip it off right now. I'm ripping this off of a Kilimanjaro 10 by 5.5 inch book. One of my favorite papers. This is it. It's 100% pure rag cotton. It comes from England. I'm not sure why Joe calls it Kilimanjaro. Maybe it's just because that beautiful top. But it used to be made in England. Joe Miller approved it, says, they actually get this paper shipped in giant blocks, and they cut it and band it themselves in their shop in Boone, and it's really fun. I've walked through there. It's kind of cool. So did I not tear a piece off? Well, I was going to. Heck, what's the matter with me? I went to the page. I love all these little fly pages that are in between this little sketch paper that covers your art, and it's pretty slick, actually. Chris Whitaker, you might like painting on this, but it's slick. You can paint on it. All right, so I'm going to paint a rooster on this, and no, I'm not. I'm going to paint a shrimp on this. So let's put on a little bit of music here. And I think I'm going to just paint it with a fountain pen and let it go. We'll see what comes out here. All right. So, in fact, this one is not what I want it to look like. So I'm just going to put that over there upside down and not even worry about it. I don't know, but I'm going to put it over here because if I put it if I put it over there, before I'm done, I'll probably throw paint on it. I want to keep that original. All right. So, you know, the shrimp, some of you have been doing shrimp. It's summertime, and some of you live at the beach. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take this piece of paper, just rough out one to show you what it might look like. Their head kind of has this little, I don't know, it's got 2 or 3 little undulations there in the head. And then this part has kind of a jaw on it that sort of drops down. You see that right like that? And then, of course, if you wanted him to come down with a segment, you could start doing the segments already. And notice that it's simple. They're not parallel, and so that works real well. But if you want to bring a turn down, you can do that, and they're more like a cone shape, so you can see where that's going. Pretty big old shrimp. I'm not going to draw that big, but that'll give you an idea where I'm headed here. All right, get my big old head out of the way. Hold on a second. Maybe if I can. I don't think I can. How about that? No. Well, shucks. I must have locked that somehow. Let's see. Is it locked? Yeah, it is. Hold on a second. Let me unlock it. There we go. Look at that. I'm smarter than I thought. Yeah. All right. So there's my head's up out of the way a little bit. All right. Here we go. So thanks for being on the show this morning. I really appreciate y'all being here. Trish Brown, Becky Bailey, Bonnie McGeehee. Wow, look at you guys. You're all just loving it coming in here. I just got that book. I love Quentin Blake. Oh, wow. Denise, all right. You got the book. Yeah, Quentin Blake those are some great sketches, aren't they? Lisa Predasori, like Dinosaur, Predasaur. Thank you for being on the show. From Thailand this morning, we have Malie Devakal. Is it Devakal? Devakal. Thank you for being on the show. Here we go. All right. Here's a little bit of a shrimp flying in right here. This little guy, I'm gonna start him right here. Just kind of put that little head piece there. Here's his nose, kind of come down. I kind of like where this is going. Yeah, I'm gonna put an eye up here somewhere, just kind of on the stem. He's cartoonish, okay? So I'm gonna come back here with that little bit of that body shape I had. It's a little bit of a cone shaped. And then I'm going to let the first piece kind of come in here and let it sort of be a little parallel, because I don't want to start bending him yet. And maybe also the next segment, I'm going to do that. Just a little bit of, and then I think I'm going to take this one here and let it start to bend. And I'm going to bring that one back. I'm using this fountain pen. This is a Kakuno, and I'm just dropping it in like so. Look at that one. I really brought that one back. This one I'm going to bring in a little close here, and then bring this one on down. Bring this one around. I guess I got a little bit of rounded off there. He's a little square. He's an L-shaped. Anyway, haven't done one of these in a long time. I saw the one last night, which I did, by the way. It's not even on watercolor paper. I did it on the back of one of their menus. They were changing some menus, and she said, I think this is an old menu. Let me get that out of your way. And I said, no, leave it there. I'm going to paint on it. And that was months ago. So, music sounds like it's, music sounds something like from Lost or something. It's that movie with the dinosaurs. I don't know what it's called. And theirs, by the way, has a cocktail. So I did this with a shrimp cocktail. Some of you have this painting that I do, where I literally put the cocktail glass in here, and come down with a little design, and maybe put an olive in there, and have a little bit of reach around the glass. There it is, right there. I think it says "Care for a Shrimp Cocktail" or something. So, sometimes when you're working on loose character type paintings like this, you really should just sketch with a pen and just let it be what it is. Don't worry about whether you get it right or messing it up. I haven't awakened these colors yet, so let me do that this morning on this Saturday morning. Wake up. I'm just spraying them with a little bit of water here, clear water. I'm going to move them over here so I can spray them over the paint. And this is barely coming out, so just putting a little bit of moisture in the paint. Make it a little easier on my bamboo brushes, okay? So I'm going to use a little bit of bamboo. I'm also going to probably use a couple Cheap Joe's brushes here. Let's see, I'm going to use this brush, I think. And I think I'm going to use this number 7. I think I pulled a number 3 rigger brush, and I pulled a number 7, and they're both of these are just nylon tips. So for those of you who are watching, going, what does that guy do? How come we don't understand? It's because he doesn't understand what he does either. There's the reason for that. I'm just mixing a little bit of paint, which you don't see me do very often, but I am going to throw a little bit in here just to get some of that yellow orange that I want in the shrimp. Clean brush. I'm just going to go in. Let's see where I drop some water. I'm just going to go in and start to wet this down a little bit. And you notice what's happening already is that this pen is starting to, or this ink is starting to bleed. You can see it kind of coming in. I love that look. I love that look. It's already beginning to move a little bit. And I'm just letting my brush dance. Let's go get some of this color and just start to add it in. A little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow. Whoa, that's a lot. Let's see it jump in there. Let me spread that out a little bit. Grab some of this pinker color here. There's a little bit of a peach up there. That's a good color. Add a little orange into that. Add a little yellow into that. Just let the colors mix on the shrimp itself. Hey, if you've been painting with me for more than 2 years and you're still trying to paint everything that you see outlined, lighten up today, this week, okay? We're going to talk about that this week in the Patreon class. It's coming up on Tuesday. Yeah, it'll be Patreon. It'll be Think Like an Artist class. And so those of you who are part of Patreon, we're going to talk about some of the things that I'm going to kick off today, but we're going to go into them in deep, deep detail. And that's some of the things that you write down in the journals that you keep that'll help you move forward with your art. I promise you, you don't think they help, but they do. Trust me. All right, so there's a little rambunctious looking shrimp. I don't like his body shape, but I think he's kind of fun. He is cartoon style anyway, so it doesn't matter. This martini is green just simply because I thought it should be. Need to put a little blue in the glass, and this is kind of what was on the front of the bar last night. I said blue in the glass. What happened to my pen there? There it is. Some of you, Michelle painted something recently that had a jar in it, I think, and the glass was just fabulous. Remember, I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm trying to tell a story. And so now what I can do, remember this, I can come in with my Preppy pen. This is an 03, or I can come in with my Kakuno pen, and if I wanted some extra little spots in there, I could just touch this and let the ink sort of run out onto the painting a little bit. And I love when that happens. Just pick up some little dark in there, you know? Maybe a few more little streaks coming down in here. And people ask me this all the time, are you ruining your fountain pens because you're putting them in the water? Well, no. Water is fine for a fountain pen. It'll affect how it draws at the moment, but I keep 1 or 2 of these around. In fact, I got a long email this week from a mom who has a son who is very, very good at illustrating, and she said, my son has been using this Yasutoma black ink, the Sumi ink, but it's messing up his nibs in his brushes, and he has to stop and clean them out ever so often. And I'm going like, well, that pen has an interchangeable nib, so just buy 10, and when that one, drop it in the water, change it over, and you go, oh, keep a spare tire, you know? So there's all sorts of ways to solve issues when you're painting. Betsy Soblowski, thank you for being on the show. Wow, love it that you guys are piled on this morning. Rose Fearson told you about the group. Well, Jamie, glad to have you on this morning. Thank you for being here. Love it. Kathy Butts, I think you're on from Virginia. Wow. That's one chubby shrimp. Hey, John, he's been on your eating campaign. You're taking care of it. You don't want to go to a restaurant and pay for thin little wimpy shrimpies. So anyway, and there's some calories in the cocktails, what I've heard. So I don't know. I'm a teetotaler. Lady last night literally brought me a drink because she asked me what I wanted to drink, and I said, just an old-fashioned water. Not thinking. And she came out and she said an old-fashioned down in front of me, and I said, no. I meant I was. Forget it. Hey, could I just get a San Pellegrino? She said, it's been a long day. I'll drink this. True story. So I love it that I messed her up in the process. It made me laugh. And so I said, look, do I need to pay for that? She goes, oh, no, it's fine. It happens all the time. She said, I just misheard. I said, no, you heard me say old-fashioned water, but I was thinking I'm old-fashioned and I just want it in a bottle with no ice. That's kind of old-fashioned to me, you know? All right, so there's a little shrimp cocktail. Let me, so that's kind of like the one that's hanging there. Yeah, he's in, now I have a complex because John Robert Small said he was fat, but chubby. He said chubby. He didn't say the words fat, so... I was thinking bees the other day. What's equivalent? The bee of the sea. Krill. Yeah, krill. You know, a whale's got to eat a lot of krill. So I love what you guys post sometimes. It's just really funny. Teresa Miller, thanks for being on the show. Elaine Barnett. Rose there is Rose right there. Thanks for being here and telling people about the show. June Jones. Love that third graders wake up their paints every time in paint. Now, you know what? Jacqueline Browse, that makes me laugh. The folks up in Paul Bunyan City, the country of Paul Bunyan, when they wake up their colors now in art class, they go, wake up! And sometimes we all need somebody just to yell at us a little bit and get us to wake up. So here's what I want to tell you about. I want to show you something while I move this painting over and bring in another piece of paper. I told you about Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, right? I mean, it's a book. You know, you can find it. Pat on the show here illustrated it. And I didn't want to coach Pat on what to do. She has her own style, and I just knew we decided on the rule, which is not a rule, but it's a strong suggestion of something that might help you in the art world. So on the left-hand page is a story. There's a story about how this came about. So just get behind the mule. You know what I mean when I say that. It's a story. It's a story about put your hands to the plow and don't look back. If you want to fall in love with art, if you want to fall in love with being a painter, if you want to play the banjo, if you want to blacksmith, if you want to blow glass, if you want to be a concert pianist, maybe you should have started when you were 8, but there's still time, okay? I listened to a podcast last night by a musician that I dearly love her music. Her name is Lauren Daigle. And so we were sent a link to the podcast and said, please listen to this. It's about your friend. And so Lauren is interviewing a friend of ours that we've known since she was this tall, Maddie Bush. And Maddie got out of high school, got out of college. She was an art major because she couldn't really decide what she wanted to be. She went to Spain for a little while. Then she spent some time in Paris, and she watched people and sketched and watched as people sold flowers on the street. And they sold them not out of buckets, but this person had a little, like a wire wheel cart, like a tea cart, and she would bring it out and people would make bouquets. And she moved to Nashville and she was running an organization that helped food trucks get their spaces and people serving out of food trucks, which has become a huge, huge thing. And she thought, why is there no flower trucks? And so this happened in 2016. I got an email from her father who said, I need your help. Can you help me build a flower truck? And so I said, sure. He said, I'm going to send you some sketches, but my daughter has been to Paris and she wants to start a flower truck and she wants to get some old truck. And we found this 1962 or 65 Volkswagen truck. And it's a drop lid and has a canvas top. And we need something to hold the flower racks. And I said, well, you've got to have the stainless steel flower cans and they have to be set in racking. And so during 2016 of January, he came 3 days to be here. We built this racking system in my garage. We prefabbed all the rings and I welded it all together and he would measure. He's really good at design and I'm good at concept. We built this thing, put the truck together. You can rip off brown paper. It had a little thing with ribbons. We put in a pump system to water the flowers. She would back up to a florist, fill all these cans full of flowers. So she goes to Nashville with this truck and she calls this store called White's Mercantile in Nashville and said, could I park my truck there? And they said, no, we really don't allow that. She said, well, I want you just to see it. I want to bring it over. And she drives it over and she takes the cover and turns it back. And the lady comes out and goes, this truck stays right here. Don't move this truck. And she goes, no, well, I have to. And she goes, no, leave this truck here. I want this truck in front of here. So within her first day, she had projected that if I sold this many bouquets, I could pay my gas and I could pay myself today and I could eat. And it was a little more than that on her budget, but she tripled what she thought she was going to do. So Carol and I were listening to this last night, and I thought, wow, I love the fact that this noodle doodle fiddle piddle concept is alive and well in people. I want to show you where that came from for me, okay? Because I always say either fiddle piddle noodle doodle or noodle doodle fiddle piddle, and I've set them in different orders. I want you to watch something that I found this week. I was editing a video for an artist, and I had to go back and pull some footage from my hard drive, and I saw this little tab that said 2007, Michael Hahn, that's me, talks about being creative. And I'm thinking, wow, 2007, that was a long time ago. I was just starting to paint. What did I say to myself? And these producers had come to my house and asked me to do something, starting here into my shop and around. They spent about 4 hours with me that day, just saying, just go and be creative, and what would you do? And they said, we want to show this to about 5,000 middle schoolers or junior hires. I'm like, what? So think of that in mind, because that's really kind of where I am anyway. And watch this. Okay, so here it goes right here. Boom. I think I remember a creative time. I came home as a little boy. My dad is standing in the middle of what looks like a boat. I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm building a boat. I said, you don't know how to build a boat? And he said, son, if one man did it, another man can do it. I think telling people what creativity is very difficult, because it means so many different things to different people. If I don't write something or paint something or weld something or fiddle or piddle or noodle or doodle on something every day, I'm missing out on an opportunity to make something creative. I think that's instilled in me. I think it's part of who I am because of the Creator. I have a part of His creation in me. You know, they say keep your resume to one sheet. I just sort of wrote down everything I'd done on one page. Husband, dad, singer, songwriter, storyteller, poet, actor. I used to say bad actor. I got to write a play once that was called the 43rd Annual Folklore Embellishment Watermelon Wrestling Seed Spit and Cedar Whittling Contest, and how we came in third. Built a go-kart that would outrun most of the cars in the little neighborhood. 5 horsepower chainsaw engine that you flip the switch and push it, no clutch, it would just take off. So you better make sure you were in it. I built a miniature biplane that led a parade one time in the city of Asheville. I just did a map for a big business here in Charlotte, North Carolina, a 5 by 9 foot steel map of the city, all welded together and plasma cut. I was a state decathlon qualifier. I had the most points in shot put, discus, hurdles, could not pole vault. Scared me to death. I jumped a motorcycle 78 feet, over 12 feet high. When I landed and realized I was okay, I sold the bike. I DJ'd a morning show on the radio, big band and swing out of Asheville. It was called Michael in the Morning. One night I drive in to where I had 14 billboards in the city of Asheville, and I painted a mustache on my own billboard. My dad was a beekeeper, so one time we cut a bee tree, and the tree fell and split open and covered me with bees. I dropped 2 pianos for a publicity stunt over 100 feet and blew them up on impact. Many years ago, I was drawn to the fire like a bug to a flame. I wanted to blacksmith, and so I started blacksmithing. My wife had the idea that I needed a better hobby, so she gave me painting supplies and said, you smell like dirty, rusty steel. She was right, so I came inside and I started painting. I started in journals. I got out all the paints one day and realized that I didn't really even know how to sketch well. So I worked on that for a while, just with a pencil. And then I started drawing roosters, because my name is Hahn. It's German, it means proud rooster. There's a connection in my art. So I started painting these crazy roosters that are called Roodoodles. Roodoodles. I do art with regular welding. Music is something that drives my heart, and I've sat down and written a lot of songs, and I've had the ability to put several albums together. And then I got into storytelling, and I realized it was okay for my instruments to hang on the wall. I'd just soon start a song and then hang it up and tell the rest of the story. But I love that part of music. Music is, in its own way, a speech to me.
let me say this to you if you're in elementary school and you think you're creative. Keep thinking you're creative. Don't give up. Don't quit, but find some people who you really trust, who really love you, who really care about you, and let them help you guide your particular creative skill to where it comes to life inside you, makes you feel special, and then gets shared and makes other people feel special. This creative art that you have might be the way you're supposed to make the world a better place.
So I should have come out of there going like this. The jaw harp. My dad always carried one of these in his pocket, and he'd go around going. Hey, listen, you know why I showed you that? It's because I wanted you to see, it seems pretty arrogant to show your own video, but here's why I did that. I wanted you to see that a lot of the things that some of you who've been with me since March 2020, streaming online, you saw little pieces of what I do today. You saw something that happened in 2007. That's when that was shot. And that really is the year, 2006, 2007, where watercolor, I'd already been blacksmithing some. And I'd already been traveling as a singer, songwriter, storyteller. But I was working with this organization, and they had asked me to do a design for them for about 5,000 churches across the country. And they said, hey, we want to come and shoot a little video of you, and we want you to just to tell middle schoolers to be creative. And what would you say? And they need to see you doing a lot of things. And it's okay to just be kind of like a bee in the garden and go from flower to flower to flower. But you're finding out your style and your voice and who you are. How many more ways can I say this to you people that I want to encourage? I have a mission on this live stream that you would find your style, your passion, your love. If it's in art, great. If it's in storytelling, then go for it. If it's making clay pots, then make them. If you make them and you don't like them, just throw them in the river or throw them on the street like they do in Greece when you're ready to eat. Crash them and then make some more. You know, every piece you make is not going to be wonderful. This is not the best shrimp I ever painted. The point is I'm going to paint a better one to give it away this morning. But the thought of this is that you would use these tools and you would do something. Wednesday night, Carol and I drove downtown Charlotte. And I don't have this video done yet because I've just dumped it to the hard drives. That's how I found all this stuff. And I got a call from a dear friend of ours, an artist. Her name is Eva Crawford. You could probably find it at evacrawford.com. I think you can find her there. She's brilliant. She taught art for years. She knows more about art than I'll ever know. She was a resident artist for the Van Gogh thing when it came here. They had artists in the exhibit area, and she worked there for it during that time. She got an idea of all the people coming through there and said, I wonder if this company approached her and they worked together for a grant. And the grant was to have a few people nominate some good neighbors in Charlotte. Who are people in the city who are doing things that you don't even know about? I mean, there's stuff happening today that we don't even know about. There's people being fed. There's kids doing art for other people. There are folks trying to figure out how to get the homeless off the street. I mean, it's amazing what's going on in this city, okay? There's people who've just come out of prison who were incarcerated, and now they're going into a baking program so they can learn to make bread and bake and get their feet back on the ground. So all this is happening, and a lot of it's happening by volunteers. So Eva has her ear to the ground, and she was catching some of that, and she said, you can nominate a good neighbor, and then I will do this. Send me a photograph of those neighbors that you nominate. We'll have a group of people put some together and look at the organizations. I will do I think it's probably 11 by 14 charcoal sketch of these people. And when I show them to you in a few weeks, when I have this edited, I want to run the video for you. It's just remarkable. She did 65 portraits, and they are stellar, remarkable. So she asked me, she said, this is late notice. Can you come and help me? I would love to document this for the next grant and the next project, because here's what happened. She didn't charge them to do their portrait. she gave their portraits to them if they wanted them. If not, they'll be in the gallery where we did this. It's a cool little gallery, an old building. It was an old Sears building years ago, and some people bought it and have gutted it. They're still working on it. But if you wanted to buy your portrait, and any of the money that comes in for the portraits that sell to other places, that money gets split 3 ways between 3 charities. And this year they chose 3 charities for those to be given to. Those people spoke, so I shot some of that. So you cannot overlook art as a way to help people out sometimes. And so I do this because I'm inspired by art. Yesterday, I drug my blacksmithing stuff out in the yard, and my son-in-law came over, and we spent 3 hours together, and I literally forged a small leaf. I don't know if I have one up here, but it was a little bigger than this, a little smaller than this one with a longer stem. You can't see that. Let me get to my picture here. Right there it is. There's a little leaf. So I forged this little leaf, or not this one, but one sort of like it yesterday. And the whole point of that was we were talking about a different way. He's a pastor at a local church, and he said, I want to talk about what happens to metal when you pound it, and he wanted to apply this to discipleship. And so I said, oh, I've been wanting to do that for a long time. And so I story told, and he shot it. And I'll show you that. It comes out tomorrow on the website, and I'll show you he's edited it together already. And so art can be used for so many things. So that is my push. Bob Ross said it really well. He said, this never really was about the art. Okay, so I'm going to show you something that I'm going to give away today. So hang on a second. I got to go get it. Some of you know I just got back from NAMTA, which is North American Materials and Arts. This was this year. This is when I went to paint. This organization's been around since 1950. This is something I went to paint for 70 years for Yasutoma. So I went there, and I was in their booth for 3 days painting with them. And Carol picked us up, and she said, oh my gosh, I'm carrying some things around in the show, but I think you should give this to someone on your show. Take a look. Here's Bob Ross right there on it. Art Materials World 2020. And this one was in Chicago. But the 2020, and they didn't have it. So they had all these bags left over. But if somebody is interested in this, I'll give it away, and I'll send it to you. And it may take me a week or two, but I'll promise I'll put it in a box and get it to you. But just a fun thing, I want you to work on your art. And that's why we do Patreon. People support me so much a month, so I have time to go out and find people and talk to new artists. And I'm going to interview Eva coming up soon. I'm going to have her on the show, and I'm going to put that interview out on Patreon when I take her the video. So I'm going to put a little package together, and I'll run that on Patreon. So if you don't know what Patreon is, it's just a way that people who show up on this show can pay $11.57 a month, and then you can show up once a month for a 90-minute class. And then also, that's a Tuesday. And the second, third, and fourth Tuesdays, we've been going through the Gospel of Matthew together. And that has been pretty fun. Thank you for your time on that. All right, so here's a little shrimp that I just did early this morning. And I'm going to do one more of these. Let's see if I can get this one off this block here. This is a little Canson block, I think. Watercolor Canson block. Somewhere there's got to be a way to do this. I think there's usually one corner open. There it is right there. All right, so let me get this off here. I'm going to do one more. And I think I just took 2 of those off at the same time, so I wasn't really using my noggin there. All right, so as you can see, the creativity thing, maybe you heard several things. Yeah, one, you said, my gosh, his hair is short. Yeah, 2007, I was just coming out of a different thing I was working on, and it didn't require that I had shorter hair. I just decided one summer to go, I'm just cutting my hair short. I got to be welding this summer, doing a lot of welding work, and it was getting in my way. I was building this map and some sculptures for one of the big buildings downtown, and so I just went, cut it, it'll grow back. And so we were writing and producing then. Anyway, today's show is slightly skewed to shrimp paintings. All right. My maiden name is Mooney, Irish for wealthy. Never thought much about it, but I am wealthy, and friends who love art, and family who loves music, and grands who love. Wow. I'm wealthy in joy because I know you. Well, what a sweet statement that is. That'll play right there. Thank you. So everyone has something wonderful inside to share the world. And that's exactly right. And so the whole point is, I think that when you learn to do that, and when you learn to share what it is that you're passionate about with other people, it's going to make you a different person. It just really is. That's my goal here, you know. And along the way, I sell some paintings. And how fun is that? I get to hang out with some artists. And right now I'm struggling with this piece of paper because I can't get it ripped open. So I'm just going to go, what the heck? It's my first day. Oh, come on, people. Oh, there we go. All right. I got in a hurry talking and doing two things at once. So let's just paint a little shrimp here to give away because I've been in the shrimp mode. And maybe I got a lobster I can throw in with it here. Look at these. I found these over on the desk this morning. And last night I painted a little lobster. That was kind of fun to do. Ooh, there's one I did in Maine. A lot of lobsters come out of the water in Maine, and they look like this. You know, when you see an orange lobster, you know something about him. He's been cooked. If you see a blue lobster, you've seen 1 in a million, or maybe 1.5 million, because there's not many blue lobsters. But you see a lot that are brown, yellow, a little touch of blue, something like that right there. So, all right. So I threw those out. I've been cleaning up my office. I know it's hard to believe. Okay, so here we go. I'd love to have Bob. Yeah, we're gonna draw a name here in a minute for Bob. Okay, Bob's gonna come out there. I had hair in 2007. John Robert Small said. I love it. All right, so here we go. Let me do another little lobster or a little shrimp. I do a little shrimp here, just on here to give you an idea of what I think this shrimp could be if I treated it just a little different. Kind of come out here, go down and cut this down. You see, I'm out of practice, man. I haven't drawn shrimpies. I haven't drawn shrimpies in a long time. Music's blasting just a little bit there. No different than I just did the other one there. Kind of come around here with a couple feelers that kick out that way. Go in here and get this brush. Where's the brush I use? I think I use this brush right here. Let's just go and throw a little yellow on this one. Just cold turkey right there. And watch this. I'm gonna come back in and just drop a little red on top of that and just let the orange mix on the painting itself. Kind of fun. You know what? Don't get so stuck that you're not willing to try things on a good piece of paper. You know, my rule is one of the things you learn in the blacksmith shop is that everything that you make, generally, you can make anything out of scrap iron if it's laying out in front of you. And so if you're going to buy watercolor paper, buy 2 blocks. Erin and I always say this. Erin, my daughter, you know, she says, if we wanted to teach you how to paint watercolor, we'd say, buy two of these. You're going to say, well, that's expensive. And you go, yeah, but what if you sold the paintings on one? And what if you use the other one just as your sample to learn how to paint on it? So, you know, I guess you could do that, but you think, well, I'm going to run out sooner. So if you can afford it, buy 2 of these and learn to paint on the paper that you're going to paint on all the time. Learn to practice on that paper. That'll make a difference for you. If you change paper all of the time, and I change about 4 different pieces. You don't see me change too often. You see me change Kilimanjaro to a fluid to maybe a piece of, every now and then I might throw in a piece of cold press that's Fabriano or something, or excuse me, hot press. But most of the time I paint on the same paper because I know how it's going to react to my style. And that's the kind of stuff that we always will talk about more in the class as I push people just to learn more about their art. I just kind of like this shrimp, and I thought maybe he needs a little bit of water splashing around here. So let's just put some water on him like this, drop some of this in. Go put some blue ocean out here, just a little bit of blue. How about a little bit of turquoise in the ocean? Terry Tardy turquoise, hadn't had that in any painting this morning. Let's just grab a straw and just blow some of that. There we go. There we go. There's a nice little splatter around this shrimp. Probably could have had one up here, but it would have looked a little too, maybe not. Maybe it'll look just fine if I put it up there like that. Perfect. All right, so there we go. So Roodoodles.com, Michael 2022, May, I'm going to call it May 1st. All right, so here we go. So here's what I've been doing. Some of you say you've been going on the paper. I have Netflix with a few articles about it. What you said, I don't know what that says. So that was a news thing, I guess. I don't watch the news. Haven't seen it in a long time. Pray for the people in trouble right now in the Warfield area. And goodness gracious. All right, so here we go. Watch this. I'm just scrolling up and down, up and down. And you know what I do? I go to my screen. I pick 3 names in the middle when I see it, and I take the middle name. So high, low, I throw the high out, throw the low out, keep the middle one. Right now I'm just going back and forth so that way I don't do this. Here we go. And last little scroll down, and I pick it up, and it says, it looks like it's Elaine Barnett, nope, out. Heather Kuhlman out. Laura Abbott. Laura Abbott, looks like you're going to get this little shrimp. Laura Abbott, would you send me an email at roodoodles@gmail.com? Laura Abbott, would you do that? Laura Abbott, you're the winner if you're on the show, okay? Elaine Barnett said, let's see, who said love the metal rooster? Oh, Linda. Yeah, Linda, I used to weld those metal roosters up or cut those metal roosters out just freehand all the time and send them off. There's a lot of them out there in the world somewhere. Yes, Laurie Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson, thanks for being on the show. My goal is to create all the time if I could. And I really do believe it. I've got a group of young folks coming over Wednesday for a high tea. And we're going to talk about storytelling and creativity. And they're going to show up here and go, well, it's about time to have a little tea. So put your finger out. I don't know how they'll do with tea in the Roodoodles mug, but they'll have it. So I still have some mugs, by the way, if you're interested. They're on the website. All right, so Laura Abbott, send me an email if you want this little shrimp is yours. I'm going to lay him down here in the floor so I don't mess him up. And so I'll throw out one of these days. I'll have another auction. I'll throw some of these lobsters in for those of you who have beach friends who need to send some to the beach. This is another piece of paper that I use from time to time. This paper is Fluid 100. Here's what it looks like. Got Charles Reed, the would-be fisherman. Whitby, how about that? Yeah, there he is. The Whitby fisherman is on here. This is Charles Reed's work. Look at this. He passed a few years ago. When I saw this, I said, I don't think I can paint. This was way before I was painting. But if I could paint, I'd paint on this paper, and that's what I would paint. I would paint something like that. And I know some of you are really good at this. Julie, is it Julie Malden Madden? You are fantastic at this. Your faces remind me of this. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Hey, Jacqueline says, welcome to the best group. Thank you all. Let me pull back up here and see where we are on the end of this. Yeah, I'll throw the video out there a little bit, but it's one of those things that some people saw it, but then I almost forgot all about it until yesterday. I thought Michael Hunt, or 2 days ago, it said Michael Hunt on creativity. And I went, what did I do this time? And so this is a piece of, notice what I normally paint on is this. Take a look. Why do I love this Kilimanjaro paper? Can you see the difference? You can see the two shades right there. I love this paper because it is bright, bright, bright white. And my style pops off this paper. But this is a little more, has a little touch of beige to it, but it's really great paper too. And I kind of love it. And so I haven't painted this in a long time. This is one of the first paintings that I started to do, even before I started doing roosters. Carol had this thing about hens, and we called them little blue French hens. And so she always thought it would be fun to do a series of little French blue hens. And so for a while, I did these little blue hens. This is an 07 needle tip Pentel Intergel. I told you I saw those folks at the show. I really couldn't go by, and I said, hey, look, just wanted to say I love your pens. And a lot of folks across the country are using them to do art with. And the lady kind of looked at me like, what's wrong with you, you long-haired goofball? Get the heck out of here. So I said that. And it's been fun talking to you, too. So she was having a hard day at the show when we were in Orlando. I could just tell. Doesn't take much to say I'm better people read than that. So so here we go. Just going to paint a little something here in the 10 minutes that I have left. Let's see if we can figure out something that might be fun to paint here. Here's one of those French flower pots right there that I was just talking about. You know, they got a little ring in the handles, and all right, there we go. I can get that painted in a few minutes, I think. Let's just get a bigger brush. Go in here with a lot of water. Need some let's put some music on here. I need something to paint with. What's Lincoln saying? A little French hen, a little blue French hen. You know, ultramarine blue, I call it French blue. So that's kind of how all this started. That has a history also. I used to do these little 4x6 cartoons that were called Roodoodles. Yeah, done a bunch of crazy stuff. Whoa, look at that. Is that not fun? How about a little French gray? If I'm going to put in some French blue, I must touch in some French gray. Maybe let those little feathers come out a little bit. Look at that. I'm done, about done with this hen already. Change my brushes, go with this little thinner brush here. This is a bamboo. I think this is probably called the longer version. It's an O size, I believe. Yeah, and I don't know. I'll have to talk to Yasa and Toma to see what this brush is exactly, but it's really pointed. I kind of love it. I use it a lot more than I do some of my other brushes. I have some of my favorites laying out here this morning, though. So, all right, not worried about that coming over there just a little bit, but if I was, I could take a little paper towel, punch it down right here, and just do a little erasing, and then come back in with just a smidge of blue and lay it back. There we go, just like that. I like that shadow in there anyway. I like this heavy where it's balled up here. The paper's beginning to crown a little bit because of the water, and I'm just letting those darker colors go to the edge and lay there. I kind of like that look. All right. All right, so a little bit of brown here. How am I doing? I got about 5 minutes to go. Watch this. Boom, pull this out. A little bit of brown here, and then just go in. I want to just do some cross hatching here like this. Excuse me. I think we're leaving here shortly and heading down to the farmer's market. So might see some storytellers there, some artists. This is a little bit of a, what I need here is a little bit of Payne's Gray, just a little galvanized color, just a little, maybe a little serious gray. There's one right there, just to give that a little bit of a look. A little black in here with the little black. This is lamp black right here. Sometimes I'll use Payne Gray, but I just want a little bit of shadow coming in like this. There we go. Maybe just maybe use some of this just to create some grass up like so. Can we do that? Yep. Need to just do a little pre-mix here. So yell at these colors a little bit about waking up. Grab a little bit of gamboge, put it in this pan right here. Remember, I mix everything on the painting. Except I will take a little of this gamboge right here, and I'll just go in right here and barely put a little bit of yellow. Oh, that's good. That hit the red there, and that orange ran up on the beak, but I like that. Let me touch this little peep while he's here too. Look at that. And then I'm going to create just a little bit of yellow right here, and then a little bit of Payne's Gray. Watch what I'm doing. You know what this is, right? It's a little Black Eye Susie. There it is right there. See that? Tiny little drawing. Hard for you to see it. I'm going to mix a little bit of red and yellow together here. Gives myself a little of that, some French gray. Gives me the leg color that I want for this hen, and I just messed that up. Boom. All right. Come in here. Monday, I'm going to paint live. If you're around, I'll be right here at this desk, Lord willing. Tuesday morning, I've got the class from the Patreon folks. If you want information on Patreon, I'll run it back on here. Remember, I'm going to be doing some interviews. The first one's coming up this spring, and I think it's going to be Eva when I finish her video. I'm going to either bring her in here, or I'm going to go and set up on location and do a little interview with her for one of my Patreon interviews. But I want you to see her work. I may go to her studio and set up there. So I want you to see that. That's going to be one of the things I'm going to run on Patreon, just as a special art event that I want to do. So all that's under Patreon, and I'm just grateful for the help of you guys allowing me. Here's what that does. That 1157 comes in, allows me to take a few hours a month, just a few hours a month, and really plan for the classes in the studio and make sure that I'm doing the work that I need to do. Look, I'm going to roll my brush in here, just pick up a little bit of blue and just sweep some of that right in there, just like this, and kind of come in here. And I'm just going to go get some of that also in splatter. So I'm going to just grab this and just come in and just do a little splatter around here like this. And I think this is going to be, you know what this is going to be, right? Happy day, Mom. Nails sticking out here. Finish up some detail on this. Put a little bit of detail in the feet here. And I'm going to frame this and take it down to the coffee shop this morning. That's where that's going. Thanks, Pat. Pat, the turtles are coming in. I love the blue. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate the plug for Patreon. It's been really fun. Fab French Hen. There's been one more shrimp. Yeah. Sorry I didn't get that up closer. Maybe I can. Before I sign off here, let me pull in just so you can see that a little bit. Are you ready? Here we go. Move this over just a tad. Give you a little close-up of this hen coming in right now with a refocus. And get a focus right there. There you go. There's a little better focus. It's hard on that camera, but you can see there's a little Black Eye Susie there. It says, "Happy Day, Mom." So he's standing on some boxes. He's on a French flower can. So there you go. Those little French that we talked about in the show this morning. What I want you to know is the reason I showed you that video one more time was because I watched it myself a couple times and I went, oh my gosh, I haven't really changed. I've just learned to do some things better, and I've probably learned to do things worse, but I still am passionate and push forward on the art, and that's what I want to do for you guys. I'll post the Patreon link, and you can find Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow? You can find that book out online. It's there. You can find all these on Amazon. I think I still have some of these, and I know I have probably a dozen of these. I do not have any of Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle here. You can order that off of Amazon, though, and get it right away. This book, you know, when I have a few of these here, when I send this book out, I always autograph it with the original in the cover. Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow? It's a field trip around the farm about the creative uses of a wheelbarrow with all my zany art in there. And here's the Roobots book, which is free range creativity. It's taking roosters and connecting them with small farm equipment, and that's what that's about. So there we go. Hey, I think I'm almost out of here. It's 10 o'clock. Let's go to the farmer's market and see if we can find some farmers. Last sip out of your cup today. Thanks for being with me on the show today. It was a fun show. Lots of comments. Great day in the morning. Lots of loves. I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing my page and telling friends about it. It was fun to see. Rose, thank you for sharing with a friend this week. And that friend popped up on the show. I love it very much. Jamie, I believe. Was it Jamie Ziegler? I don't have it in front of me, but I'm a storyteller, so I could just make that up too. Would love to show the video in my classes. Jason, we can make that work. That could happen. What day do you have Patreon on? On Tuesdays, Julie, Patreon you pay in once a month, but I'll do Tuesday. The first Tuesday of the month is a 90-minute class that stays up, so you can go back and look at all of them. And then the second, third, fourth Tuesdays, I do a small little thing where I just doodle. I do that more common. It's a 30-minute thing where I doodle through the Gospel of Matthew, and people are following me along on that. And you've got your own. You can jump into these anytime. And then 3 or 4 times a year, I will interview some artists and put those on the Patreon. I'll put the Patreon thing up. You can look at it. It's Roodoodles Patreon or Michael Hahn Patreon. You can find me there. But I will put a link on the show so some of you can see it and see what it's about. And that, like I say, once again, I'm not trying to build it up more than it is. It's just a simple art show. It's a simple way for me to do classes without a lot of the manpower of registration. And I was paying 3 services to keep up with emails and send the billing out. And so all of that. And so this was a way to simplify it. And then also take a few bucks each month and set aside some hours so I could be ahead of the show, so I didn't feel like I just had to scramble and give you the same old whitewash stuff. I am what I am, but I like to push you with a new idea when I can. So that time gives me the white space to do that, and that money does. So there you go. That's the purpose and the reason. All right. Blessings to you all. Take your cup. Take a sip. Send a note out to someone today, a text, a note, a thought, a prayer, a hope, a wish, maybe even call them. Maybe they're across the fence. Maybe you can take them out a scone and a cup of tea. Wouldn't that be lovely? All right. So blessings to you all. I'll see you Monday, Lord willing. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. Where's my harmonica?